Good morning and welcome to Blackstone Chronicles, the center of the world, but then you too are at the center of the world. So my talks continue. For some reason, the urge to talk comes up. If it doesn't come up, I don't push the button here. So these talks are under the title of "Where's Your Spot?" Anyway. So we're going to talk about the wobble today. Where is the wobble? You know what? A wobble is a metaphor for that irritating wobble. Maybe the fan has a squeak in it. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Or your car has a wobble in it, and you take it to the shop and they can't find the wobble, or they fixed it and the wobble comes back. Or your coffee pot has a wobble and it's not, the oven has a wobble. Everything has a wobble. Everything has a wobble. You wobble, 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 and it's irritating. Once you see a wobble, you can't not see it. Once you hear that squeaking sound in the fan overhead, squeak, 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 it drives you mad. You get oil it, you can't get rid of the squeak. Other people come to your house. So, what's that squeak? It's the wobble. So the title of this talk is, Where is the Wobble? Now Buddha talks about the wobble in his Four Noble Truths. He says life is suffering. Well, now we're going to look at it metaphorically, simply, in Zen. The monk asked the master, what is the way? And the master said, everyday mind is the way. What? Well, I'm trying to get out of everyday mind. What do you mean everyday mind is the way? That's where you find the wobble. You see, in your everyday life, in your house, stepping in the cat poop, whatever, the wobble, you see. And so Buddha really bases his whole philosophy on there's a wobble and there is a cessation of the wobble. That's it. The whole Buddhism is all that. There is a wobble and there is the end or the cessation of the wobble. It's very simple. His whole 45 years of teaching was just about the wobble and the cessation of the wobble. That's very simple. So let's look at the wobble. Where is it? Now, my spiritual life, and I really don't mean to say my spiritual life, but by my seeking, because everyday mind is your spiritual life. You see, when you have a spiritual life, well, that I'm seeking the end to the wobble is what we're doing. I got a wobble and I want to get rid of it. So I'm going to go on obviously getting a new car doesn't get rid of a wobble. Becoming a famous lawyer doesn't get rid of the wobble. Becoming a millionaire, becoming a billionaire doesn't get rid of the wobble, you see. The wobble, wobble, wobble. The turkey gobble. So, obviously, the material world, our culture, our consumer culture, where the next new product will give you got a wobble, buy this. You got a wobble, I'll sell you something. You got a wobble, I'll teach you this. You got a wobble, here's a self-help book. Everybody's buying stuff to get rid of the wobble. It's very simple. We want to get rid of the wobble. So how do we do it? So Zen Buddhism is all about the monk having a wobble and going to the master and asking the master, how do I get rid of this wobble? And the master might say, all right, so take Joshua, for instance. He's one of the more famous Zen masters because his answers are so succinct. And the monk comes to see Joshua and he says, I'm new at your monastery. What is your teaching here? Now, is this monk trying to trap Joshua, or is he really a novice? Does he want to know how to meditate? Or does he want to see if he can trip up Joshua? What is your teaching here? What is the way out of the wobble, basically? How do you teach your way out of the wobble? What is your teaching on getting rid of the wobble? And Joshua says, did you have breakfast? Oh, yes. Well, then go wash your bowl. Now, that was there's no wobble. No, all right, we'll just end with that. Just think about that. So let's get back to something personal. So basically, my angst, my seeking, my life really began with an incurable wobble. My yoga teacher called it, I asked him why, basically, back in 1970, I asked him why I couldn't rest. I couldn't be at ease. What was wrong? And he said, you have an inconsistency in your lower nature. I love that. That's been with me my whole life. You know, it's just the perfect phrasing. You have a wobble. And so this wobble drove me through decades of changing dramas, and Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey. The hero's journey is to get rid of the wobble. Because everything you try, everything you do, every teacher you have, every place you go, every relationship, everything always seems to have the wobble. The wobble is back. This deep-seated dissatisfaction with life itself. There must be something more than this. Or what is the meaning? What's my purpose? There must be more. Something's missing. Of course, our consumer culture is based on that wobble because it will sell you something that promises not to have a wobble. Oh, it's a new car, no wobbles. Pretty soon, wobble appears. Anyway, so where is this wobble? Well, the conclusion that Buddha comes to is that life is a wobble. Life is suffering. Zorba comes to that conclusion. Zorba the Greek, I recommend that. It's a very Zen movie. So Zorba says, life is a problem. Life is suffering. Life is a wobble. Life is imperfect, you see. So where can you go that there is no... One of the stories of Buddha. Buddha teaches in legends and legend stories. So a woman's child died, baby died, and she was so suffering with grief, and she carried it around with her, trying to find a way to bring it back to life. She brought it to the Buddha. She carried this dead baby. He says, bring my child back to life. He says, I'll bring it back to life. Just go to every house in the village and find some house that has not suffered, that has not had death, you see. So she goes to everybody. And everyone has had death. Everyone has suffering. So she comes back to the Buddha and realizes that there is no life without death. There is no life without suffering. There is no life without a wobble. And she was put to rest, you see. Another story, Buddha stories are all about this. The Bodhidharma is sitting in a cave. And the monk comes and stands in the snow to get his attention because he has a wobble. And Bodhidharma doesn't, but he's meditating on the man. And I believe his name was Heiku or whatever. He became the second patriarch. And he stands in the snow waiting to get the attention. And finally, he just cuts off his right arm. Now this, of course, is metaphorical. He didn't really cut off his right arm. It's a metaphor for I'd give up my right arm for that. So he gives up his right arm to get the Buddha's, to get Bodhidharma's. Bodhidharma turns, says, what do you want? And the second patriarch, the monk says, my mind has no ease. My mind has no rest. It's got a wobble. Please give my mind rest. Please remove the wobble. So Bodhidharma says, all right, bring me your mind and I'll put it to rest. So the monk comes back and says, I have searched for my mind and I find it unattainable. And Bodhidharma says, there, I've put your mind to rest. And the monk was awakened and he became the second patriarch, or the carried on the lineage of Bodhidharma's Zen, you see. Anyway. But you get the point here that the teaching of Zen or Buddhism is that one awakens to the truth that everything has a wobble. And if everything has a wobble, you can't get rid of it. If everything has a wobble, where can you go that a wobble is not? And this is the great liberation. You no longer have to try to get rid of the wobble. It doesn't mean you can't fix your car. But we're talking about the wobble in the heart. The wobble in your mind, in the basement of your mind. The wobble that says there should be more. There should be some rest. And what we do in our society is we put the end of the wobble after death. So if you go to a funeral, the minister is always talking about, oh, she's at peace now. She has no wobble. She's at a better place. There's no wobble in heaven. So basically we live in a world idea, our modern world, of the misplaced wobble. In other words, we believe that it's possible to have no wobbles, but only in heaven. You see, this world is suffering, is hell, and I have to get out. But see, there is no way out. So why, sir, you can't find it. There's no way to find the wobble when everything is a wobble. If you had glasses on that were, say, green or rose-colored glasses, and you didn't know you had them on, so everything was rose-colored. And you would believe that the world is rose-colored. Could you see rose? No, you wouldn't see rose anymore. You would have to have something other color. Well, let's say not glasses, but maybe lenses put on. You would have to have some dot of another color in order to see the rose color. So, in other words, the wobble is like a spot on the wall or a squeak in the fan, you know, the irritating, the existence of that spot, that squeak, drives me crazy. The existence of the wobble drives me crazy because I believe it's possible to have no wobble. If everything, anyway, so I hope, anyway, I'm starting to ramble here, so I'm going to close with that. So you ask yourself, when you're irritated with something, so ask yourself when you are bothered by a nagging feeling that won't let go. I think that was a song, this nagging feeling that won't let go. It's a wobble. And life is a wobble, so there is no way to get rid of it. No matter what you do, you cannot get rid of the wobble. So now what are you going to do? And this is where Zen drops you off. Now, what are you going to do? You have to discover that. Nobody can tell you. You have to suddenly fall into the simplicity of it, the awakening of it. It's a liberating laughter that I'm free from the wobble when I know there's no way to get rid of the wobble. I'm free. Thank you for dropping in.